Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to Diamond Head Succulents. Today we'll talk about fixing stretched or leggy succulents, also known as etiolated succulents. As you can see here, my Graptopetalum paraguayans is not doing that great. Right now is the rainy season for Hawaii, and they were unfortunately under a lot of shade. And I also had to throw a tarp over my greenhouse that blocked out a lot of light. And these in particular were acclimated to full sunlight, so they stretched out quite a bit and quite rapidly. Do not mistake stretching out succulents as rapid growth. It is actually etiolation. So to cure this, you can propagate the leaves or behead the plant like I like to do, and I will show you that today. Just stay tuned for the rest of this video, but let's get into it. So like I said, you can propagate the leaves. For example, there was one tucked underneath this Graptopetalum's leaves, and sorry, it's a little blurry here, but it has sprouted a baby and roots, and it has been rooting in there for at least about a month now. So when it's tucked under the leaves, they stretch out and they look a lot larger than they actually should be if they were under more sunlight. They should actually be more compact and stay a little tighter to the mother leaf if they have adequate amounts of sunlight. But that doesn't mean they're not healthy. Do not throw them away thinking, oh my gosh, it is just not working for me. What is happening with my plant? They're stretching out. It is totally fine. They're very healthy. Just let them grow in more sunlight later on. And just more leaves. This one fell off of the main plant, and I'll just put them on the side, wait for them to callus off at the tip. Sorry, it's a little blurry. I couldn't get the camera to focus, but I will show more examples later on. But just gonna tuck this back in here and it'll be great. You can just leave them alone and forget about them. Now let's talk about beheading your succulent. So when beheading, as you can see, a lot of little babies pop up here, and they will grow happy and healthy together on this little stem. And what you can do with the main rosette is just plant them separately in another pot, or plant them beside it so that you know what you're growing before the little pups start to form. But I don't recommend this for beginners simply because it's a little hard to gauge how much water to give the stem itself until the babies start to sprout. You can go with the method and just let it sit and be happy until you see pups, but I have lost a lot of stems that way. So on the safe side, I would say try our method that I will show you in the rest of this video. Let's start off with, please wash your gardening shears. I did not, apparently, but it's okay. My plants have been fine before, they'll be fine again. And this is just a demonstration, so please just clean your tools. Don't be lazy like me. Cleaning your tools will ensure that no bacteria will get into the open wound that you're about to inflict on your plant, as I will show you now. So to start off, pluck off a couple leaves at the incision site or decapitation site. It'll just help when you insert the shears behind the rosette. And there you go. Honestly, biggest fear is just doing it, but once you do it and you are familiar with the process, you will be beheading all of your plants and waiting for those babies to pop up. Trust me, I have done that to so many of my plants already. You want to make sure it dries out completely and calluses off and turns brown before you plant it back into any kind of wet soil. You can plant it in dry soil or just leave it on the side for a few weeks and let it air root, which is my preferred method because I feel the roots just grow in a lot thicker and faster. And once the roots get to about a few inches in length, I will transfer them to soil. Anyway, back to what we were doing. So as you can see, there's a little leaf here that just fell off on its own, and it was actually air rooting. So that's what I was talking about. It was just laying on top of its brothers and sisters instead of actually touching soil. And what that allows is for the roots to just grow freely in the air. It just has no resistance of soil or any kind of medium, so it just grows. And it is amazing. I love air propagation. It is by far my favorite method for propagating leaves, which I will talk about later on. Anyway, you'll wait for this part to callus off, and there will be little babies that pop up from there, just like this guy here. So as you can see, I completely cut off the rosette and babies are growing. So same will happen for this. And just to demonstrate again, I will show you on this side. I do recommend for beginners to leave on a few of the leaves on the stem instead of completely leaving it bare stem, just because it does help to monitor how much water it will need. And when removing leaves, please start from the lower ones because those are the older leaves. So those are going to be used up sooner for nutrients. And the newer leaves will help the plant to better photosynthesize for nutrients and further prolonging its life. So please pluck from the bottom up. And as you can see here, I left about 2 or 3 leaves on each one. I might pluck off a couple more. Oh, this one was rooting also, just by leaving it alone. It won't focus. Sorry about that, guys. But that's not important. You'll see pups of your own with time. And it's important to clean the dead leaves off from the bottom, just so that the mealybugs do not hide under there and just start to infest your plant. That is the worst thing, is a mealybug infestation. So it's good to keep the pot nice and clear of those dead leaves. But as you can see here, this is pretty much all you're left with, and believe it or not, there are going to be many babies that start to sprout, so be patient. And I guess I will remove a few more just so I have more to propagate, and I will show you later on what I do with these leaves and where I like to keep them for optimal growth. Just pluck off a few more. I think what I'm going to do is have one with 3 leaves and one with 2 leaves. Just as an experiment, I just want to see if one starts to produce more babies or more frequent babies or whatever it might be. Experiment with your plants, you know? I mean, that's why we have plants, to just learn how they grow and see what works, see what doesn't work. And that's just like life. You've got to adapt and move on. And remember, just be happy with everything you do. But this is what we're left with. And as you can see, the soil is still pretty damp from when I watered it. So these leaves are very plump and will not need any more water until the soil is completely dried out again. These rosettes, normally you could just plop them in there like so if the soil was dry, but because it is a damp soil, I don't really want to leave it in there, but you can plop it in there just like that. Just like Laura Eubanks says, you can literally just set it and forget it, and the succulent will figure it out. It will start to push out roots and root itself into the dirt. But like I said, because these are fresh cuttings and the soil is damp, I do not want to put these in there right now, so I'll just set them aside and wait for them to callus off. You can tell the soil is wet if you dip your finger in it and the soil sticks to your finger when it's wet. If it's dry, it'll just feel like nothing. It'll stay in the pot without sticking to your finger at all. So please be aware of that when you do take your cuttings from your plant, because if you stick them in now, it could lead to chances of rot and bacteria getting into your plant. So it is best, in my opinion, for beginners to set them aside and just wait patiently for about a week before placing it in soil. And now with all my little leaf props, let's just cut to where I have them now. As you can see, these are all very healthy and happy plants here on my windowsill, where they receive zero water. Zero water, guys. Just a lot of sunshine and regular airflow. And this window receives a lot of sunlight, which is so important for them to grow those tight, compact little rosettes. As you can see, some of these are stretched out because they were on a different windowsill that didn't receive as much sunlight, and they did etiolate towards the sunlight. Sorry, let me just get the camera to focus. And these are the other leaves that I had propagating previously. Water propagation is amazing for succulents as well. Simply wait for the end of the cutting to callus off completely and then place into a bottle with water. Little roots will start to form and it'll soon be long enough to fill the entire bottle, believe it or not. These string of dolphins have been in there for a few weeks and they've already sprouted some roots. So give air propagation and water propagation a try. The results could really shock you. These we will just leave here and let the ends callus off, and soon they'll sprout little pups of their own. If you have found any of this at all helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will do my best to put out more content to help you all be very successful with your own succulent babies at home. If you would like to see a more in-depth video on air and water propagation, stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for all your love and support. I really do appreciate every single one of you. And here are just some success shots of props from my garden that worked out just great. And let me tell you, seeing success shots like this really helps me to have confidence that my somewhat dying looking babies are gonna pull through. But anyway, thank you so much. I love y'all. Bye.